Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Nicole weekly live stream. I'm Nicole and joined by Matt Baya of Spaha. Hey Matt.
Hi, Nicole.
So Matt is our preferred hosting provider. We work on a lot of projects together too, and we're both inundated by email. Matt more than me, to be honest, but there's products on the market for this apparently, and one that was heavily marketed. Was it heavily marketed to you or just me?
No, it just kept popping up in
in
Facebook ads and
yeah.
I think just random email ads. I just kept hearing about it. And initially I just ignored it because it sounded just pompous because it's called Superhuman. And so it started off on the wrong foot anyways, just sounding really arrogant as opposed to something useful. Just like if you say you're super from the get-go, I'm inclined to assume there's something wrong is going on.
Totally. And the other thing with it is that I know that when you look up Superhuman on YouTube or whatever, it's all a bunch of like affiliate videos. It's like people who like are talking about it and they're showing like the demo screen and they're not really talking about like its features in a real way or whatever. It seems like I think they must have a robust affiliate program and nobody's really talking about the good and the bad of it. So that's what we're doing here. Thank you. Yeah. And Matt, by the way, everyone took amazing notes and has some great observations. And we're just going to talk about it and has been using it, well, kind of on and off, right? For a couple of months.
Well, both of us we were chatting about it and said, hey, are you getting these ads for Superhuman? Yeah. I wonder what it is. And we said, you know what, let's just both pay for it for a month and just see what it's like. So we both dove in and spent the $30 to pay for
$30 a month. Yeah, for an email interface.
Yeah. So it would be nice if they gave us like 30, a free trial month or something. But no, as far as I can tell, they don't do that. And then we had meant to do this recording, like, well, we'll just do it for a month, and but then all of a sudden it was the 22nd, May 22nd came around, and boom, Superhuman has charged $30. And, oh no, there's another month. So we're getting it recorded now before it hits again. Exactly.
And meanwhile, I'm cheap. So Matt, thank you for taking the emotional and financial sacrifice of continuing for a second month here. So let's, I don't know, would you want to share your screen and sort of talk about it generally? So, okay. So you pay for it and then it's like, you're sort of onboarded. Ooh, all the interfaces I saw, I didn't even bother to change the color. Just kept it white. Are you a dark interface kind of person with your stuff?
Not usually. So, okay. To their benefit, one thing they have automated, it implies that the president of the company is emailing you every day. But for the first 30 days you're a subscriber, you get an email saying, hey, did you know about this feature? And did you know about that feature? Which actually is kind of nice in that if they just sent it all in one document, it would have been overwhelming and I would have skimmed maybe the first 3 bullet items and then ignored the rest. So one day was, hey, if you want to use the dark interface, click here and do this. So that's why I didn't even think about it till you mentioned it. Like, I guess I must have done that. That does sound familiar.
Yeah.
So in this case, I'm not wed to it, but it's not like something I do all the time everywhere, but it works. I guess part of the nice thing is my typical Gmail ones are not like that. So it immediately gives me a visual of, okay, this is that email client. This is Superhuman as opposed to the Gmail interface, because as we'll discuss, there's a lot of similarities between the Gmail web interface and Superhuman anyways. So
right. And so you pay and then you get the sort of daily emails, and then there's this, a training video of like how to use it. Right.
Yeah, which we should probably link to, and I guess in the show notes.
Yeah. We'll link to it in the show notes. And I don't know. I see. Here's the thing, Matt, is I feel like you use more advanced email features than I do. Like, I didn't even know the thing about like that I could turn on shortcuts in my own Gmail, for example. Did you find, so the training had stuff that was new to me, but like, did you find it like pretty good? Did you feel like, as somebody who trains people on how to use email systems as part of your job, like, did you feel like that was, I guess, well done on your side?
Their initial video?
Yeah.
I probably should have watched it again because it's now been 2 months.
Right.
But if I recall correctly, hold on. Right now, I'm actually moving the screen over so it's the screen where the camera is. So I'm not going to be turning my head when I'm looking at it.
That's fine.
So let's try that one. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So if I recall correctly, I was really annoyed because in their training video, they kind of show you like, here's how you do this, this, this. And then he's got like, he says, and I still have like 100 unread messages. So I'm just going to select them all and mark them as done. And, now I'm at zero inbox. And I was like, that's not how you get to zero inbox. You don't, anyone can get to zero inbox if you just ignore.
Ignore your problems. Ignore your problems. And you too could have a zero inbox.
Anything older than a day couldn't be important. Just file it away. So that was day one with Superhuman, is their training video of the guy. And also the fact that he's like, there's 100 messages. That's a lot. And I'm like, amateur. 100 messages is a lot.
I know. Exactly. So as you're using the interface, so kind of walk me through like sort of, because you've been using, I guess they call it Google Workspace now, but for a while it was called Google Apps, like the paid version of Gmail. You've been using that for yourself and your company for like what, 15, 20, I don't know how long it's been around, but you're the one who set me up with mine however many years ago. I was kind of grandfathered into the free one, and then I forgot why we switched to the paid version of Google Workspace. I guess for the domain branded email. But as somebody who was, so what were your first, I guess, impressions? So you pay $30, we watch somebody just delete 100 email messages and not even think about it. Like, so you're starting to use it. And as, like I said, I feel like you're a much more advanced Gmail user than I am. Like, were you initially impressed, I guess?
Well, one of their claims is that it's super fast, which any email client that downloads your mail, as opposed to like the Google webmail interface, will seem faster than the webmail interface because you're just dealing with it locally on your computer. So
right. The messages are already there. It's not like,
so that loading. Claim of like, golly, it's fast is like, well, yeah, but so's, Thunderbird.
Thunderbird.
Well, that's the
I know
the Firefox equivalent from the Mozilla folks as an email client. But or I don't know if Eudora is still out there, but those in any email client will seem faster than a webmail one because it's not actually sending the communication up and getting a response back down. So it's faster than the Google webmail thing. Minor, occasionally in the Google one, I'll be deleting messages and there'll be this pause for 5 seconds and then it will come back. But for the most part, I'm not sitting there going, golly, Superhuman, I get things done so much faster with Superhuman. Maybe my workplace and my home have a fast internet connection, and other people this is a bigger problem. But as far as a benefit, certainly a benefit that's worth $30 a month for being faster, it doesn't see that never really jumped out to me as a golly, this is worth it experience. And then the other thing is all the things that their emails are pushing and all their tips are all like, you could use this keyboard equivalent to do this. And that's faster than having to move the mouse, which is true. But almost all their keyboard equivalents are ones that are built into Google already. And one thing I noticed that they don't even mention in their thing is the number sign is delete a message. And all their thing is like, if you're done with a message, archive it, which is kind of a Google thing anyways. Google's like, why ever delete anything? Just save it all, because that way you can pay for more storage later. But, you might need it. But, for me, if there's a message I get, I'm like, okay, I'm never going to need this again. I'd rather just delete it. I don't want it to show up in searches later.
Yeah, totally.
But a lot of their thing is, just press E to archive something, which is, it's really fast. You can go through your messages. Okay, I don't need this, or I want to save this. E. For me, I'm doing mostly pound sign, E. So delete. Okay, this one I want to save. Delete, and chug through. So those keyboard equivalents are faster. They're nice, but those are all built into Google. Like you said, you have to go, if you didn't know, you have to go in your Google settings and turn them on to actually benefit from them. So you may not know that they're even there. But for Superhuman to claim they've got all these great keyboard equivalents that speed things up, when 95% of them are ones that are built into Google anyways, the exact same keys, in fact. There are a couple places where they've changed something and made a key different, which I remember being annoyed by.
because you're used to them.
Or just like, why did they change it? Like, why go and do something different if Google's already set up this way? Why teach people something different? I guess to make it so people get more dependent on your software and not realizing they could just do this in Google anyways. But anyways, I know that's somewhere later in our show notes or my notes about the things here. So we'll get to that in specifics later. But
sure. So you're using this and you're like, okay, it's faster because of whatever, and the keyboard shortcut keys work. And then the other thing I remember, we're like, it like adds an automated email signature when you send it from your like sent by automated like sent by Superhuman or something, which is like, like don't add an automated email signature to something, especially if you're paying for it. If you're giving this away for free and part of your free thing is like, I have to use your stupid tagline on the bottom of it, I get it. I've sort of opted in, like that's your little free ad. But if I'm paying $30 a month, like ew. And then and then is there any other kind of initial impressions? And then maybe you can kind of show us around like the work screen here so people kind of know, because it does look visually different from Google or Gmail or Google Workspace or whatever we're calling it now. It does look less cluttered, but I feel like you have it kind of organized here.
So I did things. I was playing as I went through, and again, credit to them for sending the emails out saying, hey, did you know about this feature? And did you know about this? Because there were things, I initially set it up and was like, okay, I get this. And then later they sent these emails that said, hey, did you know you could do these different tabs? So I was saying before, I've ended up setting up these different mailboxes that some of them are built in. They, anything that marked as important can be a separate mailbox. Starred, VIP, team is anyone from, your domain. It automatically assumes that. Things with calendar invites. I've set up a custom one for messages that are sent to my son. So if I need to find something, I can look at that. And news is another one where it's an automated one. I can always just go to just plain inbox and it will just show everything. I believe, maybe not. I'm used to just going through these. Usually it's important and other. The starred ones are usually ones I've read that I've just saved I need to get back to. Yeah. So that's scary. 490 important messages that I need to get back to.
I hear you.
And then also up here, you'll see I've got, right now we're in my personal Matt at Bayonet one. I've got a work one here. I've got one for my web hosting. Just to see that one, that one's in white, the white background.
Ooh, look, yeah.
And you can see there's 386 important messages there. I don't know, it doesn't even put a number next to other, which I think tells you something. There's a lot of, it can't count that high. Totally. But anyway, so these tabs across that I found that originally in my notes, I was writing, about this. I was like, it'd be really nice if there were ways to do multiple accounts. And then I found out there was, and I found out you could do these different tabs. So actually, to its credit, it's nice that I can have, basically 3 different email accounts and have different tabs and make it easy to really, to jump around to, different parts of it. And then that's all customizable, as well as these different tabs within the different things. So here's my Matt at Bayonet one, then I've got all the different tabs there. So to their credit, it does allow that. You can do most of that, just using a normal web browser in different tabs too.
I know, but for me, like I have a couple of I have multiple Google Workspaces I check. It just has the same favicon. Like I can't tell the difference between the Anchor Space account and I wasn't sure if that was just something that we could overcome or if that was just like, that's just how it is. Because I just have to remember which one is the Anchor Space one and which one is the Breaking Even one, and just check and keep each one open. I wasn't sure if there was just some way to change the favicon so that it would look different than the Google Workspace one.
But so what I do is I've got these 3 tabs here and I pinned them. So if you go to, if you have a tab open and you right click on it and say pin tab, it just puts just the icon there and it kind of squishes it all the way to the left. And so I know
that neat.
This is personal mail. That's Store at Five Corners. This is Sabaha mail. So I've got those three there. So that's how I can have those three accounts always in the same place, and I know which one's which.
Oh, okay. That's a good workaround. I didn't realize. See, every time I talk to you, I learn like 20 things.
So that's my cheat there. So they do, to Superhuman's credit, it does provide a nice interface for that. But $30 a month, no.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I'm trying to be fair. Like there are things that are nice about Superhuman. If it was a free client, I probably would keep using it. If it was like $1 a month, I probably would keep using it.
Yeah,
it's going to take a lot,
but not much more.
A lot of neat things to get me up to 30. Like it's got to blow me away. And I never, to this date, maybe there's some feature I just haven't tried yet that I'd be like, wow, this changes everything. It's worth $30 a month. But right now, it's not even anywhere close to that.
Right. And I think part of both of our problem, I mean, basically whenever Matt and I
cheap.
Well, whatever. I feel like I'm more bougie than because I'm like, oh, it's a business expense. And especially if it's going to save me time, I don't mind paying for it. But I think part of what was annoying about this is that it broke stuff that we were used to using in the Google Workspace. Like, so anytime Matt or I find something cool, like, oh, look at this. And then we both and one of them is a Wise Stamp, which is our email signature software. It was an AppSumo deal, 10 years ago or something. I've had it for a while. So, and that, so like basically if you completely change interfaces like this, if you have stuff like that was working, you have to like refigure, like, okay. And you're like, okay, is this that important to figure out, how am I going to replace this? Am I going to try to replace this? Because this doesn't seem to be working like it used to. I'm trying to think of what the other things were that like kind of went poof with this.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big one for me because so to Superhuman's credit, you can have a different, for each address you're using, you can have a signature set, which of course you can do in Google too. So again, not really a Superhuman like exclusive. But with Wise Stamp, I can, even if I'm sending out as my Matt at Bayonet address, I can go change the signature to be, my Savaha one. I can change it to be a nonprofit that I'm doing stuff for, or the PTO that I'm doing stuff for, or whatever. Like I can change my signature, still be sending out from the address, but pick from a list of signatures that I've set up. Yeah. I lost all those features. I only have the built-in. I know I could go and copy and paste it in there every time, but
that's annoying.
The whole idea is to save time, right? And now I'm having to go do additional steps to do what I was doing before. Now that I may be somewhat unusual that I'm trying to change my signature or have more than one signature per address. So it may not be the typical thing, but for me, it certainly broke part of the procedure that I'm used to using, and think, the assumptions are decisions you don't think about making. And so you get used to assuming that those signatures are there. And it's not until I'm going to send something and I'm going to click on it and saying, oh man, that's gone. Another thing I noticed, which I find kind of big, is that there's no way here. Let's go compose a message here, which I think is C. Let me get back in the window there.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of, there we go.
But I'm used to, I don't know what's in my there. Let's say I wanted to make this, a bigger font. Well, no, I can bold it. But there's no font sizes. There's no fonts. You can't change the text. It's just, nope, you're stuck in our thing. I can change the colors, golly.
Yeah, but, you can change the colors to like 6.
And I can underline and I can italicize and I can do the, and I can quote it, but I can't, I can't do the things I'm used to in Google, like the whole editing, being able to pick a different font. Having these different bullets is nice, but one of the things you can do in Google is you, of course, can adjust how far indented it is, adjust all that. Gone. Yeah. But the font size thing was big for me because I like to be able to customize that and have, do different. I'm not changing the font body, like the actual font often, but I often am changing the size. for different things. And then also my signatures, also I tend to put a smaller font because I'm not trying to be like, here's my signature, I'm so important. I kind of want to have it be small. Like if you need to find my phone number or my email address, it's buried down there, but it's small and subtle. And now that's gone. So that was the other thing with WiseStamp. Even if I copy and paste my WiseStamp signature in there, in fact, maybe I'll even try to do that just to see what it looks like.
Well, and with me, like I miss, like I am pretty reliant on the templates feature or the canned responses. I forget what we're calling them now. Of Google Workspace, where you can say, you can write a response and then be able to pull it up. Like when someone rents the conference room, like I have that all written out, and I just change out the date before I send in them the confirmation. Oh,
all right, so there's my signature. I copied and pasted. So that's my WiseStamp one, but I'm used to it being a lot smaller. Like it's
right. Yeah.
And
and you have a lot more, for those people who haven't used WiseStamp, you have more formatting options too. Is that purple one of their approved 6 colors? Like because like you can super customize it. You can put like a little liney thing like underneath. I don't know. Did it move everything over? I guess format wise, I'm trying to remember.
It did pretty good there. It just since it only allows one font size, it just automatically adjusted it. So
got it. Okay, so it's
or here's like my work one. Again, now this is much bigger than what I'm used to it being.
Right.
So, but anyways,
and you don't want to copy and paste that's not, you can have all the keyboard shortcuts in the world, but if you're pasting signatures in, that's not real efficient. And and I think the other thing too with Google Workspace is a lot of people like use the integrated tools. Like, if you say, hey Nicole, let's meet or something, one of the things that pops up in Google Workspace is it's like, oh, do you want to set a meeting? Like, because those things are all connected together, the interface is more seamless. I'm trying to remember if I was writing, meet, if it like even did a useful pop-up and was like, but I don't think it does. I'm trying to remember, but I don't think it does.
Remember that.
Yeah. It's not doing some of that smart stuff.
Just going down the list here.
Sure. Sorry.
Our document. Yeah. One thing I noticed, normally, like if you install a new web browser or something on your Mac or your PC and you go to run it, sometimes it says like, hey, do you want this to be the default web browser? And you can opt into that or not. Superhuman didn't ask. I just noticed when I clicked on an email link on a website, Superhuman came up and I was like, hey, now wait a second.
Yeah. Consent is important, Superhuman.
Like that should have gone to my Gmail account in the browser that I was in. And then that's where it's been going all along, but Superhuman, but just like having them saying sent by Superhuman, it was like, no, and we're your default thing. So that kind of upset me a little that it never asked, because I would not have said, I'm testing out Superhuman, but I didn't want to have it be my default one that it always pulls up every time I click on an email link. Yeah. So you have to and all these things, usually it like asks for consent, like it's the least it can do. But yeah, okay. What page are we on in the notes? There's a lot of. I think we're still on page 1.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. So the font size, the keyboard shortcuts we talked about. Yeah, I'm just trying to point out. So I guess like the 2 things that I use a lot besides WiseStamp I use a lot, which is the email signature. I also use Boomerang a lot, which is the delayed send of a message, and I don't think that works in here either.
I think there's a scheduled send thing. I thought I saw that.
There is. Okay. I was trying to.
Yeah, send later. It's right there. So
okay.
So that's built in.
and it's not limited. Like the free version of Boomerang, I think you can schedule up to 10 messages a month, I think, in Google Workspace.
Yeah. So I never do that. So I have.
Oh, what you don't have clients with boundary issues?
I just when I send something, I want it to go out. I do have it. Superhuman has it built in to do the. However, like 20-second delay, after you send, that you can change your mind for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I already have that turned. That's another thing you can turn on in Google also. So I'm used to that, which is nice, because often after 10 seconds, I go, oh, I should have included this, or I forgot the carbon copy this person.
Forgot the attachment. Yeah, totally. Do that all the time too.
And then the remind me feature is another one that I believe there's ways to do that in like other add-ons you can add to Google. Again, it's not something I tend to leave things in my inbox if it's something I want to be reminded about, not have it be like, okay, well, it's Friday afternoon. I don't want to think about this till Monday morning. So remind me Monday morning, and have it disappear. But I guess especially if your goal is to have nothing in your inbox, the whole zero inbox thing, which Superhuman seems to be very focused on. They give you a little, award picture when you get down to it, and it tells you how many weeks in a row you've achieved this or something. So I guess that's one way to get there.
Did you see it firsthand, or just the demo?
Well, if you're zero inbox in any of those tabs.
Oh, got it. No,
so
it's not,
it makes it a little easier. Like the VIP one, we can just say, well, I haven't read these messages from you, but
it's fine.
So I don't want to hear the
I'm a
one.
VIP. That's okay. You can delete them. It's nothing important.
I'll just archive these and see. Woo, we got a picture, and I think I think I already did it once today, so I think it says like you've done this 1 week in a row originally, but that's one of their things. But so that having be able to remind me, that's one way to get there without actually deleting the stuff. Not a value to me. I guess other people, that's a cool thing. But so the send later and the remind me features, not a plus in my book. But I know other people, like you were saying, you do the send later with Boomerang and things like that.
Yeah, so, and honestly, in the free version that lets me do 10 a month, it's just a couple of people in my life that it's like I don't want them to know I'm working at 11 o'clock at night on this. I just want them to get it Monday morning. And I'm gonna forget to send it. So and 10 a month is fine for me. Like I don't need to do it for all messages. So it's just for a few. So we talked about signatures. I'm just checking our notes here.
Yeah. Oh, so one thing I did notice they changed, that we're talking about, just this is a minor point. I said the pound sign is delete and E is archive. So in order to do the pound sign, of course, you have to be holding on the shift key. All right. But so in Google, E and capital E are both archive. So I can just leave my finger on the shift key and just go pound, 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 E, pound, 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 E. Yeah. In Superhuman, they have changed the capital E to be mark not done, which I don't know why anyone would really, I guess it's to undo that a message is done. But they've changed the Google default there to this other thing, which is really annoying because it means I have to. It may seem like a minor thing, but when you're going through hundreds of messages, to have to remember to lift up your shift key finger in order to archive and then put it back down to go back to hitting the pound sign for delete is annoying to me.
It doesn't. Yeah, those things really, I just remember when I studied abroad in France with the French keyboard, there's like 4 letters that are switched. And let me tell you, typing research papers, like when just a little switch like that, I was so much slower. And I kept I kept having to fix it. Yeah, still to this day. But makes sense. Yeah, and it's almost like, sometimes these companies make these customizations and it's almost like they want to put their mark on it. You know what I mean? Like that you get used to their way of doing it. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. Making the lowercase version and the capital version of something different doesn't seem logical because there's lots of other keys on the stupid keyboard that you could be using.
Yeah. What would have been useful if they're all about speed is they could have had a different key for delete and said, hey, instead of having to do shift 3 for delete, you can just press D or something else.
Some other key that we're not using for anything. Yeah.
Right. So then I can just go through without having, with just 2 fingers and do everything I need to do. And that would have been like something above and beyond what Google is doing. So it would have been an improvement over Google as opposed to adding more keys than Google.
All right. So we're recording this in June of 2022. So just if a feature shows up after this recording, just want to establish when we're doing this here, because I have a feeling that Superhuman might watch this. Because we're not just blowing smoke up their butt,
To their credit, their automated emails saying, welcome, you're a new client, blah, blah. A lot of times they said, if you have any questions or suggestions, we'd love to hear your feedback. They did ask that a number of times. I figured since we were doing this, they can see our feedback on YouTube. But they did ask. So to their credit, that's better than a lot of other places. I never actually tested sending them a suggestion and see if they said, that's stupid, go away. Or if they were like, that will be implemented in the next update. I did just see this morning when I was running Superhuman that at one point I had looked away and looked back, and there was a Superhuman just updated. Click here to reload. So they do make updates. It's not a completely stagnant thing. I have no idea what the new features they just added were, but they do. It does update itself, so that another positive.
Yeah,
it might be worth a couple of pennies towards the $30, but
totally. Yeah. Now, Matt, something that's obviously different about Superhuman is this sort of split inboxes. I think a lot of us are used to kind of the labels in the Google Workspace. How, kind of like, how did you, was thinking about it with the split inboxes like super weird as switching from labels, or it seemed
so, like I said, the labels are all still there.
Yeah. Okay.
Labels, so if I don't often use them. That's kind of part of Google's whole thing is like, if you can just search for everything anyways, why do you need to put it in a special folder?
Yeah, right.
And so I don't tend to, like, I saw there was a tab there that says friends, I don't tend to go label, oh, Nicole sent me a note, I better put the friends label on it so I remember how to find it. But so I haven't really noticed. I haven't been missing that because they are there. Originally I thought they weren't, and then I realized it was just kind of buried away. It is kind of nice to have. I kind of wish, like in Google, it's always over there on the left, all the labels and everything. Whereas in this case, they've hidden it, but I guess it gives me more real estate to read the messages, which is the whole point. So I can't really blame them. And then also, if there was an important label, I could make a custom mailbox up here with it too. So if I have filters that are automatically putting everything into, everything important into a follow-up folder or something like that, I could go add that as another tab up here, and then, have that be a custom thing that I could get to really easily. Yeah. Kind of,
I guess I use labels a little bit more than I mean, I don't use them for everything, but I use them for a lot of filtered stuff. So it would make them more visible to be able to put them on the top of the screen like they have them here. So that would be in the regular Google, that is. So yeah, we talked about, don't mind me, I'm just scrolling.
Yeah, so I mentioned here, one of the things their tips was like, oh, if you have multiple windows, you can use Control 1, 2, 3 to jump between them. Control 1, 2, and 3 will jump between your your windows on a Mac. That's built in. So those tips, I said, like, did anyone test this on a Mac? Like, I understand what they were trying to do, but it happens they're using the same commands that Mac already has, or has already claimed ownership of. And so what they're saying, here's an easy way to do this, is annoying. And this before I had these multiple tabs up here, having to go switch accounts, I'd have to go over here and then go up here and then pick, okay, I want to jump to my Sabaha one.
Oh my God, that
font. It would change it. So that's that. When I found out I could do the multiple tabs up there, that eliminated most of that criticism. But you can see there in that menu I just pulled up, there's the Control 1, 2, and 3 for my 3 different accounts, which on a Windows machine would be, hey, I'm sure it works great.
I know. I wish I had a Windows machine so we could, but not here at my apartment anyway. So let's see here. The other thing too is, so within Google Workspace, what's always weird for people is that contacts is in a different place than your email messages are, because with most systems they're kind of like connected together. How do contacts work in here?
Good question. I don't really know. I hadn't really looked for that. I think it must have tied into my Google contacts, because if I compose a new message and start typing an address, it pulls it up. And in fact, one thing I was just realizing, like if we go to VIP here and here's Nicole, you can see it's
you labeled me a friend.
Look at that, it's automated.
See, I don't even know where it's pulling that info from, because I changed my Twitter description literally this morning.
Well, maybe
Interesting. Okay, no, I was just curious where it's pulling from. There used to be,
here's most recent messages, and
declined our next 2 meetings.
But
it's funny. Can you keep this up for a second? Because there used to be a thing called Smarter, and of course it didn't have an E. Like, it was I don't know, 2010-ish. And it was this thing you could add on to your Google Apps or Google Workspace account. And what it would do is it, like, when you were typing to somebody, it would pull them in, and it would pull in like their last Facebook update. It would pull in their last Twitter update. It would pull in their last LinkedIn update. So when I first moved to Bar Harbor and I joined the Rotary Club, and there was like 70 people and a bunch, and I didn't know, I'd be typing a message to one of them and it would pull in their LinkedIn profile and I could see their face, and so that's how I learned a lot of people's names when I first got to town. And then I don't know if they got rid of it or not, but maybe I'll see if I can find the link to it, I'll add it to the show notes. But I think there is something you can add on to Google that will do this.
I did just notice there was a little number up here, a red number 1. It says latest update. So I said it just updated today. So see who's emailing. iOS notifications include contact photos and support allowed people. And so I guess that's some of the new features they just added. So whoop-de-doo, but but it did at least tell us what the update was. I was mentioning that, at one point I was, it's saying these messages are important, but how does it decide what's important and what's not? And originally I was, it would be nice to have a feature if I disagree. And then I found out, no, so one thing to their credit, and they teach you this on day 1, is if you do Command K, it pulls up this little search thing. So if you want to find so if you don't remember the shortcut command or whatever, so I realized that if you do Command K and you say, move to other, like, so in other words, I don't want to make this message not important, I can go do that. So the message that I have selected now, which I don't even know which one it is, if I did that, it would move it out of the important thing. And I believe it asks you, it says like, do you want me to do this for now?
For messages like this or something, yeah.
Let's find, like, let's say this one's not important. So I do Command K, move to other, move all conversations from Craigslist to other. So
it's funny, it thinks Craigslist messages are important, but okay.
Well, I get, maybe it knows, because these are obviously filters that I'd set up. I have a friend who collects vinyl records.
Oh, okay. So these are filters you had set up already. Oh, yeah. Hence the alerts. I see.
Right. Yeah. So, anyways, but if I say move that and it says, hey, you want to move this all there? Are you sure? And I say move, and boom, now it's out of my inbox. So that is nice to be able to tune what's important. And obviously looking at what's in here, I probably need to do that some more. But so being able to do that, and then also I'm sure in other, I could say move to important. If there's something that got filed over here in the other one that I really wish I'd seen in my important box, I can go move that around and tune it. So over time, if you take the time to go teach it what's important and what isn't, eventually that stuff will end up in the right place. I guess. You could do the same thing with a lot of filters in normal Google too. So
yeah,
this is they're kind of giving you a shortcut for creating a filter, but not anything that valuable, I think.
Yeah. Well, and similarly, to being able to move things around, being able to unsubscribe from updates is super nice. And I know Google has that built in, but you kind of like how this sort of unsubscribe from all thing, you said it's a nice touch.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly how that I'm trying to see if there's one here I can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make you
no, so
I don't want to make you
there it's right up there, unsubscribe. Of course, here it is on the bottom of the message built in too.
Right.
That's how they knew it. But if I click that, it says unsubscribe, and then it also does give you this unsubscribe and trash all. So like, yeah, get me off this list, and anything that's in my mailbox now, just get rid of it.
Oh yeah, that is nice.
Again, that's things you could do with a quick search and a filter in Google, but it's nice. It is built in, quick shortcut. Yeah,
it saves the.
And I did use that. I mean, I know you said it's built into Google too, but when I was going through this, I was like, oh yeah, well, what are all these lists on? Because at some point I'd signed up for, supported some political candidate, and then I'm guessing they sold their list to the political party, and then gave it to every other candidate for every race all around the country. So all these names and states I don't know anything about were saying, don't you want to donate and support my candidacy? So it was nice to be able to go through and be like, no, unsubscribe.
There was one email list I put my name in as no one as my first name. Mm-hmm. And I just watched because I just wanted to see like, how did this get sold to other whatever. And then I would get emailed, hey, no one, from this thing I had not signed up for because I did it for one place. And I was like, I just want to see how far this goes. And yeah, it's a thing, getting your information sold for sure. Occasionally I still get one. Hey, no one. Like, oh yeah, I know where you got this.
So one thing I was saying, I was looking at my notes here. So if I search for, let me see, I'll get my notes correctly here, and I enter split, it would take that Craigslist message we had open before, and I can make let's just do it, split inbox, and I'll say Craigslist and create split. And now there's a Craigslist tab up here that it's pulling all those messages in. So if there was, a project you're working on or something else that you wanted to have that be automatically up there, is pretty handy. So it is handy. The split inbox thing certainly is a nice feature. That's above and beyond what I can do in normal Google. So, credit to them, but not $30 credit, but yeah, there's some value to that. That's pretty slick. Like I said, I've already done that with a couple of things, but it's nice being able to tune that, especially if you're working on something. Okay, I put all the messages with this, with this tag in it up there, whatever filter you want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you can kind of put the time critical stuff in a place where you're going to see it.
I mentioned the formatting and the lack of font sizes. That's annoying. So I was noticing on the iPhone client for Superhuman that it made it easy. Like the normal, again, I have an iPhone. The normal iPhone mail client doesn't have an easy way to delete things. I can archive it, but there's not a just get rid of this. So I was noticing that their one has that for delete, right swipe for trash, left swipe for archive. So I was like, well, that's neat. And then I realized later when I ran the Gmail client for a different account, I was like, oh, wait, that's built into the Gmail client too, that exact feature. So I didn't know that. No real benefit to Superhuman on that front. Both, or at least it's tied with the Gmail Mac iPhone client. They both do this feature that the built-in iPhone one doesn't. So yay.
I picture like the dev team at Superhuman and the dev team, like, oh, they did this, like, oh, let's figure that out. I don't know. I pretend they're competitive with each other, but it's probably not actually happening. But
so here's another minor thing for us Mac users. We're used to being able to go up here, and usually there's a preferences folder or option. You'll know there's not. So at first I was like, there's no preferences I can set. Like that seems strange. So I finally found, it's down here in the bottom right corner. There's a little gear, and then it pulls it all up. Now, I would argue that if you're going to make a Mac client software thing, it would be really easy just to have that menu option up there also.
Yeah.
So
where people are used to seeing it. Yeah.
Since Mac users are used to having every other program do that, not everyone's used to like, go find the gear to find the preferences. So to their credit, they do have preferences, and there's lots you can customize and stuff like that, but not kind of annoying that it was buried down there. So anyways.
Nice.
That's maybe a minor point, and I'm sure all the Windows users watching this are like, shut up, Mac user. But so I'm saying I'm reading my notes here. It's saying it's not obvious when looking at older mail, find what time it was sent. So let's go look at that. Let's just pick one. It says 11 a.m. for that one, but maybe that's because it's today. So let's scroll down to a previous day. So yeah, it just says June 5th. Oh, now if I mouse over it, it tells me. But I guess at first glance, I don't know, was this sent in the morning, evening? I guess when it's a couple of days old, who cares? But obviously it was for some reason I must have been looking for that at some point and got annoyed that it wasn't there.
Well, like in threaded messages, sometimes you're like, oh, okay, like, I don't know. That happens to me sometimes where I'm emailing someone at the same time they're emailing me. So like sometimes seeing what time you're like, oh, okay, you can kind of follow the train of thought a little bit easier. I'm wondering, since you have to hover over to see it, I'm trying to remember what it's like in the mobile, like if it would even show the time, because you can't really hover.
I'm seeing here, it says, let me go back here, that command 1, 2, 3, 4 does switch between the tabs across the top there. So I was mentioning before, the control 1, 2, 3 doesn't work, but the command ones do let me switch. So if I remember that command 3 is my personal one, it makes it easy to jump there. It's not something, I made note of this in the notes, but I'd forgotten it since I typed that in there. So it's not something that's been super handy. But they did, add on a little feature there. So we talked about the unsubscribe stuff. Calendar. So I'm noting here that I was composing a message and I said, do you want to meet on Monday? That it pulled up my Monday calendar.
Ooh.
So that was pretty smart. And again, that's above and beyond what I've noticed Google doing, maybe I just never noticed it, but, and I can say, I guess they're saying Command Shift. Next day, I can go flip through my calendar to be like, I'm busy.
And it changes the text.
So
like when you switch to the next day, it changes it to Tuesday instead of Monday. Yeah.
So credit to them there. Maybe another a few cents a month towards that 30.
What are they up to now? Like 56 cents or something?
Well, I started with $1. I said I'd pay $1 for it.
Yep.
So maybe $1.25 at that now.
Okay.
Like that.
Got it. All right.
Which even then, now thinking about it, like that's almost like $15 a year. Like that's getting up there. I think I'd said before, like if it was $30 a year, I might consider it.
Right.
$30 a month. I don't pay $30 a month for any software right now. I mean, isn't that what like Adobe Creative Cloud costs? You're saying that your email client is give me as much productivity as the entire Adobe Cloud suite. I don't think so.
I think Adobe Cloud is like $50 or $60 a month, but it's in a similar order of magnitude anyway. So that's for sure. So are there any other features you think that most people should kind of know about, or that we can give them credit for, or just simply point out they exist, but we can also do them in Google Workspace?
All right. So this is an attachment. There's a PDF attachment here in Google. There's an options if I click on it where I can say add to drive. And this, my only option is download.
Right.
So I miss that feature of it, of being in Google, where I can say, I want to save this, put it in my Google Drive. I'm going to need to share it with someone else, or I want to put it in a folder, so it's in the appropriate thing. So that's annoying, because so now I have to, if I was using this in my email client, download it and then open up a Google Drive folder and drag it back up there.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Why they couldn't just tie that in? They're obviously already talking to Google. How come they couldn't just tie into Google?
Right, they're talking to the calendar. So like, why? Yeah. I remember thinking like it's interesting what is tied in and what isn't, I guess. Yeah.
And then I'm seeing in my notes here also, let's see if I want to attach something. I'm going to go pick an image off my drive here. Where's an actual image there? JPEG. So what I'd say here, there's an option for best fit. I didn't really do it. Anyways, what I was saying, when I was to get an image in line, you have to drag and drop it in. Best fit doesn't respect proportions and ended up stretching the image. Now in this case, I didn't drag it in, so maybe that's what I need to do is go. Let's go try that. If this doesn't work, we can delete this section because it's
totally. No, that's fine.
But it's definitely something that I got annoyed with.
Nice.
There's me for my radio show, but again, it didn't ask about the best fit thing, so maybe it's better about it or something. But
maybe that was maybe it's one of the updates.
Yeah, who knows? There, best fit, small, best fit. So whatever image I dragged in there at some point, it when it did best fit, it stretched it and munged it up, and that annoyed me because I didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Again, not sure.
Yeah.
Oh well, so delete this.
Okay.
So it kept asking me. Let's go find a message from someone that I haven't tagged it. Maybe it stopped asking me now. It kept pulling up this invite to team message next to everyone's name.
Oh my God.
So like right here it would say, I think maybe because I said no so many times, it got smart, like, okay, he's not inviting anyone to team. or I don't remember, maybe I found some way to turn it off in the settings. But the fact that it was wanting me to, invite these people to spend, that I think this software is worth $30 a month and they should join me in using it. It's one thing to be able to, if I want to invite someone, because I guess if you invite someone else, you each get a free month, which would have been nice to know when we both signed up.
Right. We could have, invited each other.
Right. Or just if either one of us invited the other one, we would have both gotten a free month.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So that's nice, but it's kind of like, a drug dealer, like the first month's free and then you pay $30 a month too. But so I was pretty annoyed by it asking the invite the team all the time. I think maybe I did find that in the settings. I don't remember where it was now, but
yeah, I feel like, the automatic signature, the making it your default thing when you open an email. Like, I feel like it's really aggressive marketing for a product that you're paying for. You know what I mean? Like, like I said, I could understand if like this was their free version and they were really pushing it and that you had to like go to take special whatever steps to get rid of it. But yeah, it felt really aggressive for paying $30 a month.
So another thing I do, again, I'm a geek, so I have multiple domains and multiple email addresses that all forward the same place. So I'm not checking them all, but sometimes I like to know what address someone sent something to. And I said, I'm putting in the notes here, trying to find one that might have been sent to a different address, but I don't see that right now.
Oh, is that what you meant by the recipients who couldn't tell? Yeah.
So I guess, so here, if I clicked on that little thing and spilled it out, I can see that it went to Matt at Bayonet. And so if it was another address, I would see that there. But I guess maybe when I made the notes, that wasn't super obvious, or the fact that I had to, because sometimes I like just, I would like to go know, which address was this sent to? Having to go click that, that's not super intuitive to remember to click that. But no,
yeah, also that arrow is tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minor thing, maybe not noteworthy. I'm saying when you do a search, it doesn't show how many messages a search found, which usually is kind of a handy thing. If I'm searching for something, I like to know that there's 300 messages that match this, or 10.
Yeah.
Command A for select all and the # for delete doesn't always seem to work. Sometimes it marks messages as pending trash, but then they never delete. Oh, I see it. I'm reading my notes further here. It says, I figured this out. After it's done actually deleting it, it puts little check marks next to the message. So I guess, it's really fast, but it's a client. So when you're deleting something, it's got to go back, call home to the mothership and tell Google, hey, actually delete this. And it's got to wait for Google to be able to say, yeah, I deleted that before it acknowledges it. So I guess that's the delay. But on Google, when you do it, it's pretty instant because you're right there. So there is a delay there.
All right. Are there any major features that you feel like we haven't covered yet?
We talked about the remind me thing, not a big draw for me, but maybe other people being able to do that. Like, I can understand if you only have one email address and you've got a bunch of stuff that's, I'll deal with this on Monday morning, being able to just, push it out of your inbox and not deal with it. But it doesn't seem like a big draw. Yeah. So I guess the background I'm using is carbon. I see my notes here. They have snow and carbon.
Of course, it's called snow and carbon.
Google, of course, offers like an infinite number of colors and themes. So, they don't really win many points there. Like, we offer dark or light, and that's it.
Yeah. You can customize the look of the background of your Google Workspace or your free Gmail account, everybody, just as an FYI.
So one thing they kept pushing, I mentioned before, but the Command K, and then you do feedback, and you can go share feedback with them. And that will pull up you can email them and say. So we can
just send them the YouTube link.
Yeah. But it's nice that they ask that and they make it that easy. I mean, the Command K and the search to find the different commands is kind of a nice thing. Like, that's there's some value in that. I don't find myself using it that often, but it's nice to know that it's there. If I remember that, oh, there's some way to do this in Superhuman, how can I do it? Then I can go in there and search, like the whole move to other thing and things like that. That was buried in there, and I wouldn't have found that otherwise.
Yeah.
I have a list here of things I missed from the Gmail web interface. Create a filter from a search. So for me, sometimes if I say, okay, anytime I get this message, I want to mark it as important, never mark it as spam. Sometimes if it's really important, I have it forwarded to my phone email gateway address. So, if Nicole emails me, I'll get a text message letting me know that Nicole just emailed me.
It just feels so important.
Hypothetically. But so that's in Google or Gmail, when you do a search, there's always that option about create filter, and then it will let you do that. This will let you do the search, but you can't, there's no create filter thing. It's not calling back up to let you do that. I could still go back into Gmail and do that, but the fact that this is trying to be my Gmail client, it'd be nice if I didn't lose features that I'm used to.
Yeah.
And to me, that seems like one that would be important. Another thing Google has built in is create a calendar event from a message. I can say, I want to create an event based, where it pulls that on and put the text of that message like in the body of the event in Google Calendar. Again, it's not, we saw before, it will pull up the, do you want to meet next Monday? And it pulls up my calendar to show me what my schedule for next Monday is. But in this case, they're not calling into the calendar to let you, create an event based off of a message.
Right, where you could add somebody else to the same meeting that you were emailing that person about, kind of thing.
I mentioned the ability to change font size. Oh, and then the ability to indent paragraphs. I'm a big, credit to Mr. Crandall from 5th grade at Hastings Farragut Middle School. He taught us how to do outlines and everything. So there's a lot of times where I'm writing things where I'll have an intro paragraph and then, indent bullet points, sometimes multiple levels below that, just to really spell things out. Here's the ordered list of operations there. And I'm used to doing that in Gmail and Google Docs, and this doesn't allow indents like that. I can make a list of bullet points, but I can't go and move them around and adjust, what level they're at. So it's another thing that just glaringly, for any time I'm doing an important message, it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to save this draft and go back into the Google Gmail interface to do this, because Superhuman is tying my hands behind my back and not letting me do what I'm used to.
How many times did you find yourself going back to the regular Gmail interface to do something while in the typical week that you were like actively working?
It wasn't that often, because it does do most of everything, and most of what I'm doing is going through and deleting messages that aren't important.
Right. Fair enough.
Or just replying real quick, like if I just need to write a one sentence, that sounds great, I'll see you next Tuesday, but that's great. So I didn't, and then I was making this document where we listed off all the pros and cons of Superhuman. So when I ran into something, that's where I'd be like, okay, hold on, where's that document? I'll go note it. But to be fair, it wasn't that often. For the most part, it worked well as an email client. Like I said, if it was free, I'd keep it, or I'd be willing to pay a minimal amount. It was handy enough that it was like, okay. In some ways, I like having an email client that's separate than my web interface. That's what I used to do, rewind back, way back, using Eudora and using the Mac Mail client for years, and Thunderbird some, and, I've tried other clients over the years. I kind of like having that separate, like, in my dashboard, okay, there's my mail and here's web, because having the email buried in the tab, I think, I don't know if I pulled over my screen earlier, but I've got 20 tabs open in this one window, and then I've got 5 windows open under Firefox, each with that kind of thing. So so it's easy to lose, like, okay, where I was composing a message, which tab was it in?
Yes.
Where am I?
Yep. I do that too.
That's again, I mentioned about pinning the different email clients over there on the left. That's part of my workaround for that, but doesn't always work. And so having a separate email client was nice. I do like that, and they've got a nice unique icon that I know I can pick out visually real quick. So that's nice.
Yeah. here's the thing. So I know that you're not willing to pay for it, but like, do you feel like this saved you time? Do you feel like using this email client, because that's their big thing, is like it's going to save you time, like that's like a big part of their marketing?
So I think like I said, if I'm going through in Gmail in the web interface and I'm deleting messages, there are times where for whatever reason it pauses and it's like deleting, or I forget, it puts some little message up there, and there 4 or 5 seconds might go by and then it returns. Whether it's a blip in the internet or someone at Google, accidentally turned off the server I happen to be connected to or whatever.
Right.
That it does do that. And so certainly Superhuman wins in a race. If I was saying, okay, I'm going to delete 100 messages on Superhuman and delete 100 messages on the Google one, Superhuman would win because, probably 2 or 3 times in doing that with the Google one, it would have done that weird pause. So it does save time on that front. That's about it. I can't. I mean, like I said, all their keyboard shortcuts are really there in Google. Now, if you're a Google user who'd never used keyboard shortcuts, Superhuman's going to seem pretty cool because wow, I can just do things with keys and I don't have to go move the mouse around, and I can really zip back and forth as opposed to clicking up here to delete the message and clicking up here to archive it. If you're using the mouse, the keyboard shortcuts are going to win. But again, they don't really get credit for that. If you want to pay $30 for 1 month to use Superhuman and then learn all the keyboard shortcuts, use that to learn all the keyboard shortcuts that Google has, it's a good crash course. As your motivation is, you better learn them all before you have to pay another $30 for another month. But it certainly reminded me, when they were pointing out like, this key J moves to the next message. Well, that's cool. Oh, wait, that's built into Google too. And K is the previous message. Like, oh, someone at Google at some point decided, oh, if people are in a list of messages, they might want to move up or down the list, so they created those keyboard shortcuts. So for Superhuman was, they were mentioning like, oh, that's a neat feature. Oh, wait, that's not theirs. They're just, they're highlighting what Google's already doing.
So it sounds like between, pinning the email tabs you need open into your Chrome browser so that you can easily find them, turning on maybe priority inbox, which you showed me and has, I don't know, changed my life might be too strong a word, but I really appreciate it. And turning on the shortcuts within your Google Workspace interface, it seems like you'll get 90% of the benefits.
Well, and like you said, there's Boomerang. You have Boomerang. So if you add that, you get there. I'm sure some of their other features about the Remind Me, there's probably some feature like there's probably another Google extension where you can say like, temporarily hide this message until Monday. I'm sure so the fact that they've taken those, popular ideas and baked them into their email client. Well, it's nice. There's just one-stop shopping.
Yeah.
But $30 a month, not worth shopping.
Yeah, totally.
I have some notes here saying what what would it take me to pay $360 a year?
Yes, that's an excellent way to, that's an excellent thing to do.
I wanted AI for filters. So I wanted to pop up and say, hey, the past 6 messages you received from this address with a subject like this, you've thrown them out. Should I set a filter to do that from now on? Like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Smart inbox where it would be like, or you always reply to this person right away. Whenever a message comes in, should I, pull it to your attention and highlight it? Or, obviously this is someone who's really important that you want to be in touch with. So other things like that.
Yes.
Or have some built-in commonly used filters like, hey, shall I create a label for shopping and move all your Amazon, eBay, et cetera messages in there and move them out of the inbox? Like just,
or anything with the words order confirmation or something.
Right. Yeah. So what I really want is a smarter inbox where it would take care, it would try to be like the digital equivalent of an administrative assistant, being like, we've got the priority inbox where it's deciding what's important, whatever, but I want something above and beyond that based on the patterns of my usage to be able to say, here's your inbox filtered by the messages that I think are the most important to you in the past 12 hours. Even if this one came in 11 hours ago, but this is a person, this is obviously someone important to you. It's your dad. Then it automatically puts that at the top. Like, here's the one you want to read first, based on the way you've used this in the past. And if you disagree with what I say,
obviously you can override it, but just making the suggestion.
Yeah. Make that a level 3 message as opposed to level 1. Be able to tune it some, but having it be smart, do those kind of things and really save me time. Like okay, you know what? I did get to see out of the 100 messages that I got in the last hour, the 20 ones that were most important, it actually pulled to the top, and I got to see and deal with them quickly. That saved me time of having to filter through all the other junk. That would be a value. That would be, whether it's $30 a month, but that would be something where I might start considering, like, this is pretty slick. This is helping me be more efficient and be more responsive to the people that I want to be responsive to. That might be worth the $30 a month. Yeah. But Superhuman ain't that.
Yeah. It's just human. Just kidding. But yeah, it sounds like, for $30, like you said, it sounds like a lot of things are kind of baked in that are already in Google, or you could accomplish by Google Workspace has apps you can install. So I have one for my project management system where I can be looking at an email message and assign a task and attach the email message. So that way I don't have to forward it to like somebody and be like, oh, it's in this email. I could attach an email to the task. So that's something like that I've added in that I use all the time. And so if you're using Google Workspace to with this added functionality, whether it's email signatures or that other stuff, project management hook-ins, that kind of thing, you might think Superhuman's a little limited, but I like your idea of it getting smarter. That's the kind of thing that I would want too, is you're using big data to track me. Why not use big data to make my life easier? That's
I do see I have a note here where I listed some browser plugins that I thought would be useful. One is I've used in the past called Active Inbox, and that's another paid one. I forget how much it costs. It's not $30 a month. So that might be like a $25 a year one or something. And that does some of the features. That one works within the Google Gmail interface, but it kind of adds on, above and beyond that.
Okay.
So for someone looking for a smarter inbox situation, that's also very focused on the whole zero inbox thing, where it helps you, let's get the clutter out of here and help you sort things, and you can move things into important. So that way the whole idea with zero inbox is that your inbox is not your to-do list, right? It's your inbox, so on your desk, if you've got, back in the days when letters came on paper, you wouldn't be treating your inbox as, okay, what am I working on first? It would be, okay, bills, personal correspondence, trash, you'd get until the inbox was done, and then you'd go over to the various piles and go through them. So that's the whole idea with the active inbox. And also with Superhuman, they're trying to help you sort things out. So the goal is to get to zero inbox, that your inbox doesn't have everything in there. And also I highlighted there's an add-on for Firefox called Learn the Shortcuts, which will tell you, when you delete if you clicked on the delete a message icon, it said it will put up a little hey, you could have just hit the pound sign. Or you
got it. Yeah.
Because
sometimes you don't know what shortcuts you're even looking for, know.
So that was helpful. And there's another one I pulled up here. It said simplify Gmail. I don't even remember what it was, but I did note that it's $2 a month, which is about what I pay for Superhuman. I'd say I'll be generous.
Yeah. So round it up from $1.26 to $2. Yeah. So we'll have the links to all this stuff in the show notes here. Matt, thanks for being our tech educator as usual.
And for the folks at Superhuman, and I'm sure are going to be tuning in, hey, there's a YouTube video about us that's not that's not blowing smoke up our ass. Right. They said critical things, actually. That's not allowed. How do we block it? But hi, folks.
Hey,
I like the daily emails with tips on how to use the thing.
And I like the interface. It looks good. I like the little the labels on the top. That's nice. So the split inbox, I think, is what it's called. Nice feature. Yeah. So. Yeah, but if money's no object, I highly recommend Superhuman. And what we're going to do is we're going to put Matt's affiliate link as part of this thing, so that way, if you buy it, he'll get a free month, so he can spend even more time with it. Thanks, Matt.
Sure.
All right. See you next time, guys. Have